Well, hey guys, welcome to the shop. And by shop, I mean Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm Jared, and this is the Questionable Garage. And you may be asking yourself, why am I in Bowling Green? Well, we were invited by the Corvette campus, the mixture of the assembly plant, the museum, and the racetrack to come out as guests of Holly and experience the brand new Corvette Z06. And we actually just wrapped up a tour inside where we got to see some of the new exclusive colors. The whole process, I've got a tremendous new appreciation for watching the build process, from the little parts, the amount of parts that they actually put in reject. They want these cars absolutely perfect. But I didn't want to just drive here and do a, experience. We're doing a very questionable thing. I had a viewer reach out to me and offer me a Jeep for $1. So before we even got to Kentucky, my whole trip, my whole weekend starts with me on a flight to Richmond, Virginia, 650 miles in the wrong way to fix a Jeep in a day that I'm buying for $1. So yeah, let's go ahead and get you guys here and introduce you to the Jeep and Zach, and then we're going to continue on. There's also a lot of other really fun content creators here. I'm over here because they were loud, because Weston's here. I love Weston, but Weston is loud. We are in Short Pump, Virginia, and this is what I am going to be driving to Kentucky. I have a day to get there, and I could have just flown straight to Kentucky, but why not come here? Because I got an email from Zach here, and when I asked everyone in that 4Runner video to reach out and let me know what you have to sell me, you told me you had a Jeep for $1. Why on earth would you just be like, here, come take my Jeep?
Well, $1 might have been too high a price once you take a little bit of a closer look. My family's had this thing forever, and actually bought it new back in 97. Drove it home when I was a kid. Dad and I put a lift kit on it. Been driving it ever since. And probably about 5 years or so ago, started having real bad trouble with my leg. Got parked, and it sat. And when you leave Jeeps alone, they rust a lot.
I have experience restoring a Jeep CJ5 that sat a lot in Pennsylvania. And
you go through a parking lot and find any old Jeep and reach your hand under the rear wheel, it's going to crunch a little bit, and this one certainly does. I've had offers for it, and none of them were really great, and nothing really felt right. Saw Jared's video, and seemed like a cool idea, because it's really not worth much anyway.
We'll make it worth something, hopefully.
Hoping Jared doesn't want his $1 back. But
oh wait, speaking of which,
thought it would be. Oh, thank you, appreciate that. We'll,
so it's officially mine.
Nice safe place.
Again, back here, it looks really good aside from the bullet holes. It's been determined by the Commonwealth of Virginia to be unfit for these roads, right?
By multiple shops, and they weren't very polite about it either.
I will be sure to get out of Virginia as quickly as possible. And this is a little different because other than oil change and basic maintenance, it runs, it drives, it stops mostly. What does these things, and I ran into it again on that CJ5, is it has poor drainage. Water and sand starts getting trapped, and you see, the surface rust. That will happen. But if we come through here, you see rust where it's actually starting to penetrate through the frame. You get a ton of moisture build up here, and yeah, there's no more frame there. So what I like to call that is time engineered chassis flex. It makes it better off-road. Now, it's not an ultimate terminal sentence for these Jeeps. You can buy proper patch and repair panels for these things. It's just not something I can do in a driveway without all of my tools. So yeah, it seemed like a good idea, trying to figure out getting the Jeep back home when I need to be in Kentucky to fly here, get it running, and then drive halfway across the country with holes in the frame to then drive back to Georgia, where we will actually have a lot of fun, where we can tear it apart and do a proper frame repair and make this thing as perfect as it can be. But let's walk around again. We've got the lift kit on it it's got disconnecting sway bar end links done proper. Of course, KC daylighters, Warren winch. That apparently is moody. Speaking of moody, the key switch is very questionable. You've got to hold it just right. So we did make a parts store run. I have a new key switch. We have all new fluids through it. And she is a manual. So it's not just a Jeep, it's a manual Jeep. So it's pretty cool. We've got 135,000 miles on it. We don't have a visor on this side. We do have a visor on that side. We have a hard top that my head pretty much sits against. Again, I'm spoiled. I've got a speaker bar. This is gonna be fantastic. This might not be that questionable. I have an idea, as long as I ignore the fact that frame is rusty. Now, I know Jeep guys are gonna look at that and be like, that's not that bad. You're right, it's not that bad, but I know that it's rusty, and you know, we'll just avoid big things. We don't want anything to hit us. I do have a lot of driving ahead of me and a fair bit of wrenching to do, so let's just go ahead and get another camera going and get to work on our 4-liter Jeep. Now, while this Jeep was taking a trip for an inspection, it had a brake line failure. So that's our new brake line. It's a good temporary field fix, and I should probably address that before driving all across the country. But instead, I bought tune-up parts and oil. So we're gonna live with that until we get it home. Questionable, not stupid, guys. That's just questionable. It's good. Mostly. We did spark plugs. Those were very worn out. Put fresh oil in it. And I've checked all of the lower running gear. And despite having bought a ton of expensive Valvoline, it's good. It's full, it's topped off, and the oil is actually in good shape. So I'm gonna bring it with me, but we're not gonna change it. But one thing we do need to do, if you're at all familiar with these older Jeep products, they have, come on, there we go. They have very finicky key switches. Let me climb in so it's a little more dignified. The key is here. You crank it, and everything turns on, but it rotates too far. You see how things are turning on and off? And we get it going, off. So this key switch, you just have to rub it just right. Come on. There we go. We got it just right, fired right up. As you can tell, that was our first start. Here comes our oil pressure. They had a key switch in stock at O'Reilly's, the electronics behind it. So I'm going to learn how to take apart a steering column, and we're going to put that in. So let me figure out how to do a key switch, and then we're going for a drive to Bowling Green. And not Bowling Green, Virginia, which is close, Kentucky, because we got a lot of fun stuff to do. We've got a good key cylinder in it now. I had to run it and get a, it was either a Torx 10 or a Torx 15 to pull that key switch off, and it now starts absolutely perfectly, and everything is looking good. It is, this is home for the next couple days. Would you like to go one more drive now that it's roadworthy?
Absolutely. We'll just put the temporary tag on there so we don't go to prison.
This is Virginia.
Yeah, they really don't like anything that's interesting or fun or doesn't have rust.
Or if you're going 3 miles over the limit.
Yeah, they put you in jail for that.
Yep, so don't speed in Virginia. But yeah, an adventure is about to be had. Warning. Warning. There's probably warnings there.
This one fell off.
Warning will fall off. My seat just falls backwards. I can't really can't complain. It's, yeah, normal Jeep stuff. Any regrets yet? Just some YouTuber shows up.
No.
Oh, I'm falling back. I'm going back more.
No regrets yet. I will miss it. I love the car, but second lease on life is fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone else can die in it and, you know,
Yeah,
not me.
we're sitting in the back seat now. If you can't tell, the the lash does not seem to lash very well. Is there a good car wash? Should we check the water?
We can. You might get a little wet. Jared.
Okay, so now we're doing brake repair, but keep the handbrake on for now. The Jeep is surprisingly watertight, but not brake fluid.
No, we don't have brakes.
Well, so we got the handbrake on. We're hoping for the best. At least it'll look good.
Yes, as we crash into something.
Good test drive.
Yes, we're ironing out the kinks now, not later.
Yeah.
Oh, look, relax. I feel better.
Okay, yeah.
I feel so. Why do we need brakes? Who needs brakes?
Drop the handbrake, it'll keep pushing us forward.
It's fine.
Okay, go. Drive slowly to the left and,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead to the left near the Wawa.
They're going to have a lot of brake fluid in there.
You know, I hear it's really good for paint.
All right.
So really nothing. It's
We have brakes is a very strong term.
okay.
We do not have get back to the house brakes.
Well, we've got the suspect rear line out, and it, of course, failed exactly where all metal lines do, and that is firmly in the clamps. And since there'll be one line left, I went ahead and we're going to pull that and do all new metal lines, and I'm going to ignore the fact that the rear rubber line that I can't get today has a small cut in it from the parking brake cable. That's fine, right?
Only in your imagination.
Yep. So we're gonna hang out at Wawa until we can go get some parts. And I didn't know Wawas were up here. I thought that was Florida.
No, Northern. They started in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I actually grew up around the corner from the first Wawa.
Okay. Still not as good as Buc-ee's.
I'll give you that.
Well, you can tell it's getting dark. We're still here. That crimping tool, flaring tool is awful. I've got the rears patched up enough that we can get back to Zach's house, where we will now replace the rear rubber line, finish making that crimp, make the left front line, and the heater core is now leaking. So we're going to loop that and bypass that. I got exactly what I paid for, and we're going to get to Kentucky somehow.
You're not getting your dollar back.
Well, it is proper dark 30. Turns out when the guy says the brake lines are rusty, they're probably rusty, and you should just plan to do them right ahead. It has now got all new brake lines. We replaced the rubber line to the rear axles. The wheel cylinder bleeders would not open. We were going to break them and be stuck, so I bled them at the line, meaning there's potential for a small amount of air. Pedal feels great. We rebuilt the left front line, which was good because it broke in two places coming off, and just because of timing, the over engine brake line, that can stay. Oh, also the heater core is leaking. So while I was doing brake lines, Zach reinstalled the bypass, because apparently you don't pass inspection here unless you have a heater.
No heater, and they get real mad. Again, they're not very polite about this stuff.
So it is now super illegal to drive, apparently, because I don't have a heater core, and there's holes in the frame. But the brakes are good.
Ish. They're there.
There's no ish. They're good.
They're brakes.
There's fluid going to all four wheels and not leaking out. I'm incredibly filthy. I did not expect it to quite go this way, but it happens. So we're going to clean up. I'm going to say goodbye to Zach. I'm going to go to a hotel, and next shot is time lapse or driving or putting gas in this thing. I did drive it a little bit, and the steering is like the suggestion box at a car dealership. You put things in it, nobody ever acknowledges the existence. So you ask it to do something, and maybe it'll go that way. Suspension bushings were there once. Wonderful idea. I'm gonna get to drive a brand new Corvette. It's worth it. It's worth it. This is my Chariot. I could have just gone straight there, but instead. Good idea, right?
It was certainly a questionable choice.
Yeah. Status update. First fuel stop, 3 hours in. We're gonna go in and check sheets. Jeep's been doing really good in that last mountain climb. Come on. We started to see a little warm, so I'm gonna let it cool. Check the coolant level. Check engine light came on. I did open the hood and it is still there, so I'm not worried about that. I was so excited about the Bluetooth radio. Turns out it lost its teeth, so it's just blue. Other than that, the ride is terrible. Definitely gonna go on a diet after this. I am jiggling way more than I want to be jiggling, and it's not comfortable. Fuel mileage is a little over 12, and to confirm, it does have a 5th gear. It just doesn't have the power to use it. We're cruising 62 to 65. That's kind of where I feel comfortable and safe. Don't really want to push it much faster than that. But yeah, I'm gonna go inside. We're gonna get some drink and some Advil and some Tylenol and some Excedrin, maybe some goodies powder, just everything I possibly can, because it hurts, but we're going to Kentucky. 7 more hours. Well, we picked up a fun problem. We made our first tank of fuel, no problem. And now it likes to get hot. Now, I don't know if I can trust that 100%, but I give it a little RPM, it starts coming down, and it'll get cool and stable at an idle. So I'm wondering possibly thermostat. So while we're letting it cool off, I'm gonna see if I can't find a parts store and almost middle of nowhere that's gonna have a thermostat and maybe a radiator cap before we worry about a radiator and a water pump. Oh, we are at the O'Reilly's. I've got a thermostat, a radiator cap, and that's what we're gonna try first. Because again, looking in the radiator, it looked pretty good. And then I was feeling the lower radiator hose and it felt completely solid, like a factory one with a spring. And the common things, again, thermostats go bad, I can rev and I see coolant flowing, the fins look good, so it's either thermostat or a collapsing lower radiator hose. So let's get our parts put in and see if we can keep limping along. Well, that's a new development. Good news is I have a radiator in there and I'm gonna need it, because this thing is stopped up solid. Well, it's back together. We're an hour and a half delayed. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the parking lot since they were nice enough to let me use it, but was able to burp it. We've got good clean coolant flowing through now. There's no more rusty chunks. The radiator should let all the coolant flow. So big thank you to the guys here at O'Reilly's, and I think it was Aberdeen. Let me look at my receipt. It was Abingdon. I wasn't even close. Abingdon, Virginia, just outside of Tennessee along 81. They were my heroes for the day. No more problems, please. Let's just get to Kentucky. Well, all right. Made it to the hotel. We are in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and aside from that one really big problem, it's been decent. It shakes a lot, it has a lot of noise. Radio doesn't always work, but it got us here. So I'm excited, and tomorrow's gonna be a whole lot of fun that I'm excited to also take you around. But right now, I'm going to take a quick shower, get the coolant off of me, and then go meet some friends. Have a little bit more fun tonight, and then sleep. Definitely sleep.
Now, I understand a question a lot of you may be asking right now. Jared, why did you fly to Richmond, Virginia, jump in a $1 Jeep Wrangler and drive it all the way to Bowling Green, Kentucky? Well, that's because Holly Performance invited myself, Sage from Donkmaster TV, Weston Champlin, Byron from Drive 615, John Ross from Watch JR Go, and Lacey Blair to come out to the National Corvette Museum and the NCM Motorsports Park to get to drive the brand new C8 Z06. Now, if we're being perfectly honest, a brand new C8 Z06 is not in my budget at all in the foreseeable future. But it is an amazing machine that I wanted to drive. So I jumped at this experience. And it's something you can do too. They have lots of different options for you to be able to come out and get behind the wheel of a brand new C8 Z06 and see exactly what it has to offer.
So yeah, for this portion, the first portion, we'll do touring laps, which is where you guys get to drive the Z06 and follow us around in a lead car.
This is gonna be fun. But this is literally just like my Jeep that I drove out here. I like the shape of the steering wheel. It's weird. It's like a square. It is such a throaty mean car. It really is insane that there's this much tech, this much go. Well, we'll see how much go, but I know what they're capable of in a production, like a high volume production car. We are moving. As far as DCT clutch takeoffs go, that is pretty stinking smooth. Early GTRs were real bad, lurch, 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 lurch. This just took off like a torque converter. Oh, it sounds so good. All those brakes.
Second lap, coming around, we'll pick up the pace.
All right, so I'm back in the red Z06 where, Griff, that's the most race car driver name ever.
Is it?
I mean, it's just...
I'm not trying to remain incognito. My visor's not staying up today.
Got to tighten the screws. Yeah. He's going to take us out and show us what the car can do. He's already made one person throw up today when I was chasing him in the Camaro, whose passenger emptied his contents of his stomach, and we're about to go, right?
We are.
All right. We do launch control from the pit and a flyer, so see how well I can hold this. Instead of putting my hands up in the straightaway, I can just put my head above the windshield. All right. There's the carbon ceramics working. The big difference is the carbon ceramic braking. When you just get thrown around so violently. That is so, little slide. Buster on the downhill. I love corners like this because it feels so wrong to do that. That was impressive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I made the mistake of putting my head above the window or the windshield just for fun.
It actually helped?
It almost lifted my helmet off. My chin hurts a little. We're gonna find out, can two fat guys fit in a brand new Corvette Z06?
With enough butter we can.
Yep.
You sure? I don't know if we could drive this thing. We're fit.
We're in.
We're in. Ew.
All right, we're wrapping up here at the track and we're getting ready to head over to see the Corvette Museum. We'll film some of that and we get to go to Holly. But I didn't want to, again, this wasn't meant to be just an experience. They have an absolutely fantastic thing. You can come here and do the factory tours, get to drive the Z06, do ride-alongs in the Z06 and do all of this. I'm having a blast, but I wanted some wrenching. So that's where this little Jeep has come in and has done a good job. Now, $160,000, $1. it's not the same thing. This Z06 is phenomenal. It is a blast on the track. Not in my budget right now. The Jeep is going to go home and be part of our fix and flip. We just really wanted a incredibly fun mixture of an episode where we get to come out and do this really cool thing and do a really cool thing and revive a Jeep and drive it there. So, everyone else, Weston's here in his TRX, Byron's here in the Mercedes. Like, people are in the nice cars. What's the fun in that? Remember, you guys go out there and make stories. So next scene, we'll be eating lunch, and then we'll be at the museum. Once we wrapped up playing with all of the fast cars and amazing Corvette history, since we are guests of Holley Performance, they invited us to go over to what I can only describe as my favorite store. Except it isn't a store, it's their distribution center. Oh, I can get into trouble.
Here's the problem, right?
With all the parts in here. So we got a special treat to visit Holley Fulfillment. And it's one of those things where I'm excited working with Holley, and you guys are familiar with Holley, the carburetor, and the EFI, but they have hundreds of brands in the umbrella. And when it says in stock, on hundreds and hundreds of parts, they have to fit somewhere. There's 2 buildings with pallets filled and an incredibly dedicated team that comes and finds and picks your parts. Tens of thousands of mufflers and exhausts and fittings, and it's overwhelming. What do you say, Garrett?
It's a lot of stuff.
Weston?
Lots of cardboard boxes. Lots of them.
Lots of
walking too, you know?
Oh, there's some more carburetors.
Carburetors.
The things you're used to, but there's
The cobbies. That's all shit.
there's a tremendous amount here. So this is really cool behind the scenes of just the sheer volume of this place. And once we wrapped up there, a few of us got to head over to the main headquarters and get a look at their manufacturing process, which was absolutely amazing to see all of the US finished machining processes and US made parts.
So that's what we're doing over here. And then turn into beautiful metering blocks.
Damn.
It's aluminum? Yeah.
Okay.
And these are all gonna eventually be metering blocks. Man. These guys, this is basically our wall of masters. These are master main body carburetors. So if we build a batch of 500 and one's got an issue in it, basically they can come over here, grab the master, and then compare it to a batch of 500. So again, once everything's made here, it goes to our shipping department, which you'll see, and then it goes to that big warehouse CSD. Oh, it's the parts.
It's kind of wild that it's the same building from the 50s.
Yeah.
It's like
the same tools.
I can't believe it's like, look, they're using like stuff from the 40s, the 50s, the 80s. Like they're using all of this stuff. And they're like, dude, it works. Let's keep using it. And they're using it to make modern stuff.
Right. Because the carburetor tools, you understand. Carburetors are an older thing. They brought them into the modern century, but you don't need new
It's
tools
like,
for
no,
it.
let's
but-
fire up our 1940 drill press and make an EFI throttle bar.
Right.
Yeah. That's wild.
So this is raw stock. Every Earl's fitting is made right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So we started with a piece of raw stock, and we had it engraved with Earl's on it all the way. And then once it gets this piece of raw stock, we put it in the machine. The machine will literally chop it in little sections, machine it all, and it becomes your AN fitting that you see now. And then there's the Earl's logo right on it.
I wondered how you were doing that.
That's
Yeah.
That part's cool.
So that is what this does. You go raw stock, and then this is the top of the lid for the fuel pumps.
oh wow, yeah, for the kits.
So that's what these machines do. So again, there's raw stock. There's the top of the fuel pumps now. They machine them all. I mean, beautiful.
So how many? My battery went dead in my watch. How many miles do you think we've walked?
You know, I'll tell you what, I got that solid hurt whenever I stepped down, like the whole bottom of my sole of my foot's getting ready to fall off. So I'm going to say at least 5 miles.
I think it might be more than that. It's been a lot, but it's been worth it.
Today.
Well, everyone else has already finished their adventure, and we've got one more big leg, and that is, getting home. And Trusty. I'm calling him Trusty because he's a little bit of rusty, but he's working. Also, it's really cold and wish I had a heater core, but we'll be all right. We'll get down to Georgia where it'll be a little bit warmer here soon, hopefully. But two more fill-ups, 400 some odd miles to go, and let's hope it's uneventful. I mean, maybe you guys want to see me broken down and wrenching, but I'm ready to get home, get into something a little more comfortable. Jeeps are cool. They're not road trip vehicles. Well, all right. If you notice, we are back to the shop. This Jeep has been quite impressive. We knew it was going to be mechanically sound talking with Zach before flying out just because of the reasons it was parked. I had some expectation of the rust. I just didn't expect it to be so good. Again, we had a roadside total cooling system repair, but, what do you expect? It's been sitting, especially with rust, he said there's rust problems and our cooling system totally rusted up. So, I like the Jeep, but it is not a comfortable long haul highway vehicle. I'm a little stiff, a little sore, but I'm thrilled. It was an insane adventure to start off flying to Richmond, picking up this Jeep, working on it, getting it all the way to Bowling Green, where thanks to the National Corvette Museum and the NCM Motorsports Park and Holly for having us out to drive the brand new Z06. That's an insane car, and that's a really cool experience that you also can do. If you wanted to head out, you can book thrill rides and driving experiences in the Corvette Z06 and a couple other vehicles. So I'll have information below if you're going to be near Bowling Green or want to take a trip. Get a really cool guided tour of the museum and see the famous sinkhole, or do what I absolutely love, get to rip an insanely fast car around the racetrack. You really should do it. It was a ton of fun, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have been able to do that. So, it's been an insane couple days. I've had a blast. I really, really hope that you guys have enjoyed our trip and our adventure here in, I guess, Trusty the Rusty Jeep. It sure has proven with just a little bit of work. I think we managed the whole trip for about $1 a mile. We did just at 900 miles total, buying the Jeep and all the repairs and fuel. It's about $1 a mile. Now, some of you also will be asking, what's next for the Jeep? We've done this crazy trip, this long drive. It is part of the Fix and Flip series. There's substantial structural repair that has to be done to it. A couple small mechanical things, but it's already proven to have a really solid drivetrain. So the next episode is going to be slightly delayed because what I want to do is, rather than having only an inspection episode, because we've already covered some of that in this episode, is I'm going to film the inspection episode, a little bit of teardown, and then I'm going to have to order in the parts. Once I get all the parts in, there'll be the repair, the rust repair, and I'm going to show you that whole process of repairing and welding together the frame and the patch panels. So not adding too many projects. We do have a lot, but that's just how I plan to do our Jeep episode, where I'm going to go ahead and do the inspection and repair in one, but there's going to be, you know, real life time delays of getting parts. So just so you know, it's not just sitting forgotten. We're going to make some progress, and then we'll give you one big update so you're not waiting too long once we get the thing in the shop. So just so you know the timelines, we've got a ton of projects, and they are all going to be getting a lot of forward progress happening. We got the Jeep, we've got the Duster, we have got Earl, who's going to start up. We have one car that is just in and out for one episode. You know, some of these. So we are going to have a lot of different cars, and we're going to make huge strides on all of them. So if you like the classics, we're doing classics. You like modern off-road, doing some modern off-road. If you like some Japanese stuff, we're gonna make some progress on that stuff as well. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Dwayne is gonna have a heck of a time putting this episode together. Maybe he inserts an exhausted look expression here, or he just leaves me saying that he's exhausted, and we really appreciate his work compiling all this stuff together and making a cool story for you. But I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And don't wait. Get out there and make memories. Grab your friends, go do something. Time is a finite thing. We'll see you.